Aloha, it's the greatest here of all time, sports fan traveler. It's morning time. That's tourism morning time during the weekday. My life is a permanent vacation. Sports travel, the ocean, and the breeze. In honor of the late great John Coleman from KU, West Side Forecast. I feel good. Actually, I do feel good. It's a beautiful day here in I'm not going to tell you. I want you to keep watching the video. And while you're here, why can't we be friends? And if you're my friend, you're my best friend. Okay, boys and girls, here's some hints of where is the greatest of all time. You might want to catch I'm not in North America. I'm not in the Caribbean line. Hey, look at this. If Robin Leach were here, he'd have a champagne wishes and caviar dreams from the French Riviera. The only problem is I'm not even in Europe, so I can't be on the French Riviera. And by the way, some of them beaches in France, they're not really a beach. They're a bunch of pebbles. Pebbles is a girl I dated in the 80s. You know that video? Girlfriend, why you got to treat me so bad? Girlfriend, why you got to treat me so... See, that's why she dumped me. I can't sing like pebbles. Pebbles, girlfriend. So, boyfriend, girlfriend, or if you're one or the other or neither, you're still listening here. Here's the deal, Lemon Peel. I'm in... Wait, I'm not going to tell you yet. So I'm not in Europe. I'm not in North America. Am I in South America? You want to know the best song about a continent? You think you know where I am now. South America by Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys. One of my mom's favorite singers. And we'll have fun till the daddy takes the T-bird away. I'm not in South America, but I love South America. So what we got left? I sure as hell ain't in Antarctica, and of course I'm the greatest, I've been there. So what we got left? We got Asia, pretty persuasion. No, I'm not in Asia. And I'm not in Oceania. Oceania would be like Australia, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, Tonga, and some other countries too. Tuvalu, Vanuatu. Mr. Sports Travel, how come you know all these places? Because I've been to every country in Oceania. Fool, I'm the greatest of all time sports fan traveler. I've seen football more than 100 countries, basketball more than 70 countries. Heck, it might be more than 80. I'm so busy traveling I haven't even counted. I've seen baseball in Australia. I've seen baseball in Palau. Holy cow, Palau, that's in Oceania too. So that leaves us with You Thought It Was Going to Be Africa, my favorite song. It's South America. Africa is my second favorite song about a continent. I bless the rains down in Africa. I boxed the sun this morning here in Monrovia, Liberia. I told the sun, you better come out today. Because if you don't, I'm going to whoop you willy-nilly. And I did in 3. That would be rounds. Now with George Foreman, when I was here in 1974, with fury and flair, I knocked out that George Foreman 7 years younger. Because I was great in number 8, round number 8. In that country, formerly known as Zaire. Now, I can't do the Congo song, but now it's called the Congo. But here I'm in Monrovia, Liberia, the wettest place on earth, except for today because I went 3 rounds this morning. That's why I'm a little short of breath, because I'm 53. I'm still pretty like a girl. I went 3 rounds with the sun this morning. I said, son, you gonna come out, because tomorrow I'm flying to Morocco. And I want a nice photo of me on the beach, and I want a nice video on the beach for my listeners, all my friends all around the world that know I'm the greatest of all time, Clementine, blow your mind, one of the super fan sport out. And the sun was like, okay, after 3 rounds, I can't take it no more. I turned that sun into span like I did the river ran. I said, you better pray, Sugar Ray. I beat that ugly monkey Joe Louis. Leon stinks, he stinks. I would have whooped that Jake Paul fake social media white boy in my day. I would have kicked his ass. Floyd Patterson and that big curious George who brought his German shepherds to the former colony in Belgian colony, then known as Zaire. What a fool, the people hated him. Don't you know that the colonizers from Belgium, they had the German shepherds getting on all the locals there. That's why they declared their independence. They like them Belgians in the Congo. So boys and girls, I'm here in Monrovia, Liberia. Now that's the capital behind me. Look at this view. Pretty, like me. Here's the deal, Lemon Peel. I'm going to point out a unique feature to you. Now I can't guarantee this is the building, but because I never said I was the smartest, I said I was the greatest, and I am of all time sports fan traveler. But I'm gonna step out of the way. Look carefully. You're gonna see a tall building, and it looks like it's abandoned. I'm gonna get out of the way, and then I'm gonna come back. you see that looks like a TV tower? Just over here, boys and girls, there's an abandoned concrete building. Look out of the way one more time so you can see it. So I don't know if my big, beautiful head's in the way of it. How about now? Can you see it? So here's the deal, Lemon Peel. Liberia has had 2 civil wars. If it was going on right now, there's 2 Gibbons alive. Here's one of them. I wouldn't be here. The last civil war was ended in about 2002, 2003. That was known and still is known on a map as the Ducor Hotel. D-U-C-O-R Hotel. Used to be a nice, luxurious hotel. I'm fixing to maybe walk there. Because with fury and flair, I have a lot of energy and I'm spry. But right now, I want to take a wide shot so you can see it. Check out the view that must have up there. I'm going to try and see what kind of view that is. But the view here is pretty nice too. Check out this beach. So the Capitol and all the government buildings, you can't see them, but they're over in this region here. In fact, because I may or may not have internet, and it's 11 o'clock by the way, boys and girls, on a Tuesday, 8 April, the things I do for you, looking up maps. Why can't we be friends? If you're my friend, thank you. If you're not, don't make me come through this camera and whoop you silly like willy-nilly. Alright, so here's the deal, Lemon Peel. Capitol building. Let me see if I can see how far I am. I walked along the beach this morning because I got a lot of energy, even after boxing the sun and knocking it out in 3 rounds. So, I'm a 9-minute walk from the Capitol building. Now, Liberia and the United States are very similar. We're only 4 hours apart. You know that? The east coast of the U.S. is only a 4-hour difference from the west coast of Africa here in Liberia. But the other differences are more profound. The flag. The flag here in Liberia looks exactly like the American flag, with one major exception. They got 1 star here. We got 50 states. That's right, 50. Maybe we'll have more soon. Who knows? That I can't control. So, but not only that, boys and girls, did you know that how Liberia got founded had to do with America? How this country came to be? The love of liberty brought us here is the motto of Liberia. Why is it the motto? Because the American Colonization Society, way back in the 1800s, don't quote me on the date, because this ain't the History Channel, but work with me people, it's story time, presented by the greatest of all time sports fan traveler. The American Colonization Society said, you know what? The slaves, they're not having a good time here in America, and who could blame them? So let's try and see if we can get them to clone their own country in Liberia, or go to another country and see how it goes. Let's experiment with this here hypotheses. And so they got on the ships back then in the day, and they came along this big body of water you see over here, and they came to this here land, which today, and has been for a number of years, known as Liberia. Liberia is the oldest country in Africa. Oldest country, oldest republic. Not only that, technically speaking, of the 54 African nations, of which 54 is the largest number of nations in one continent. Asia's got more land, Africa got more countries. 54 sovereign nations. Did you know, Kokomo, this is the only country that has never, ever once been colonized. Now Ethiopia likes to make that claim, and they've got a good case, but there's just one little asterisk there. Mussolini, you know that dude, that fascist from Italy? Yeah, he sent his Italian troops to Ethiopia and he said, you know, I want your land now. So Ethiopia was occupied briefly, but it wasn't colonized, so it's just how you define it. So I'm going with Liberia number 1 and Ethiopia number 2. The other 52, they was colonized by the Europeans. Most of the French, also the Belgians, and British, Germans, I just said the Italians, and of course Spain got 1 country. Poor Spain, it used to have more stuff. They had 1 at Equatorial Guinea, and that's the skinny. So, folks, check out the view. Beautiful day, a little after 11 o'clock. I saw some football here when I arrived 2 days ago on Sunday. I saw it at one of the larger stadiums, and then on the other side of the stadium was a practice field, and there was another match. It was the Premier League of Liberia. Then that evening, Sunday evening, I went to go see another match 30 minutes north of the Capitol. Northeast, 30 minutes northeast. Saw a great match, a 3-3 draw. One of the highest scoring matches I've seen in all of Africa. And I'm the greatest. This is my 45th country to visit in Africa. And almost all of them I've seen a football match or some form of sport. Because I'm the greatest. And so then yesterday I saw some practice, including kickball. Actually it was a match. Kickball, what? Yeah, you grew up in Connecticut in the late 80s? You might have played kickball, maybe in the United States. Now here, the Peace Corps introduced kickball to the Liberians during the aftermath of the Second Civil War. In fact, this body of water you see, American ships, they was off here, they was in the harbor, helping unload food, supplies, now the war was over. And did you know that in 2002, for the AFCON, which is the premier football tournament in Africa, kind of like the Euro in European, that Liberia qualified the 2002 AFCON. And talking to the president yesterday of the Ministry of Sports, the head of it, he said that was a key moment in bringing the country together. So at that point, 2002, 2003, Americans are helping. This is in the first administration of George W. Strategery. I love my country. I love George. Then I met a SMU basketball game. Very friendly guy. So, boys and girls, the Peace Corps was here right after the Civil War, and they introduced kickball to the Liberians. Liberia is the only country in Africa that plays kickball. In fact, did you know that the Sports Federation in Liberia sponsors 36 different sports? This country only got 5 million people. Now they sponsor 36 different sports in Cuba, Nicaragua, the Dominican Republic. Maybe, but I don't think so. I'm gonna go on a limb and say that. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I said this ain't the History Channel. So the point is, the Peace Corps here introduced kickball to the Liberians. Now, what I saw yesterday was the ladies playing. And you know who founded the Peace Corps? Do you know your history? Do you know your presidential history? It wasn't W, and it wasn't 1,000 points of light. No, it was ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. That's right, boys and girls. The late, great John Fitzgerald Kennedy founded the Peace Corps as a means to build relationships around the world because, as you recall, if you know your history, and I do, JFK was president during the Cuban Missile Crisis, during the friction between the U.S. and the old former Soviet Union. They called it the Cold War. Right now I could use a cold beer, but I'm still feeling pretty good. So JFK, yes, he got blown away, but he was the greatest at building relationships, and he created the Peace Corps. In fact, Jack, did you know that here in Liberia, there's a street, and maybe I think even a hospital named after JFK? When I was in Cameroon, and I did eat with a spoon, there was a statue of JFK in one of the roundabouts. It wasn't the prettiest looking statue, but the point is, African people like the American people. In fact, people ask me, Mr. Sports Travel, are you ever scared walking around alone in Africa? You know what my response is? No, 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 no. I've never been scared here. And I've been to Joburg, Lagos, Kinshasa in the DRC, which can be a little sketchy. Oh, so not pleasantly, but I still survive, even after 52 hours of detention in Central African Republic. And you know who my second friendliest peoples are in Africa? The Central African Republic, the same place that detained me for 52 hours, more than land. So boys and girls, it is story time, presented by the GOAT. It took a while to get to this point. I almost never made it here. I'm going to recap for you the craziest day in the history of Mr. Sports Travel's trip as of this moment, other than the 52 hours in detention in Central African Republic. That was 2 months ago. I already done a video about that. Watch that video. So boys and girls, Sunday I get to the airport in Lagos, Nigeria. I get to the counter. I gotta change planes in Abidjan, the Ivory Coast, where vampires, mummies, and no Holy Ghost gonna scare me the greatest of all time. And I already been to the Ivory Coast. I ain't worried about that. My problem is, I get to the counter, the dude looks at my visa and says, "Your visa expired." I said, "Brother, my visa ain't expired. I ain't the smartest. You think I came to this airport trying to get on a flight with an expired visa?" Well, here's the deal, Lemon Peel. When I paid this jack $150 to get me a visa here to Liberia, there was one little problem with the visa. They put the wrong year on it. They said that the visa going to expire 2024. Oops, we in 2025. But because I know people who know people who know people who know people, mainly the guy that runs immigration in Liberia, he's like, "Oh shit, we fucked that up. Sorry, Mr. Sports Travel. We're going to get that corrected." And thank God they did. But let me just say, I was a little stressed out. Can you blame me? But wait for it. There's 2 more stories I got to tell you. Then the second one is, I changed in the planes in Abidjan, Ivory Coast. You know, so you got to go through security again. And I like the people of the Ivory Coast. I had a good time there. I saw football, I saw basketball, I saw taekwondo, because, yo, I'm the greatest small-time sportsman traveler. But I'm trying to get through security there, and they take out my bag, and they're going through every single pocket in my bag. I'm thinking, brothers, I just got off a flight from Nigeria. Don't you think they got security in Nigeria? You think I went out and bought myself a drone or a gun, and then somehow got back in the airport? Come on, man. So anyway, they forget to give me back my camera. And only because I'm the greatest, and my mind is still sharp at 52 or 53. I'm really 53, don't worry, I haven't gotten out of hand. Did I remember that, oh wait a minute, my bag feels a little bit lighter here. Something's not right. Oh, that's right. Shit, I left my camera back at security. So I ran faster than I did when I was training in Pennsylvania Hills, getting ready to whoop the shit out of George Frazier or George Foreman. I whooped so many people, I don't remember who I whooped. I still have speed and agility, and I found my thrill on this trip in Liberia, in Brazzaville. So I go back and I get my camera, and I get on my flight. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, the rest of the day it's gonna be piece of cake. Piece of cake, ain't nothing crazy gonna happen. No. The one thing about Africa, you know that thing they say about life? You got death, you got taxes, and you got change. And I'm talking about the change in your pocket that changes every day, because sometimes you got a lot of change, sometimes you ain't got shit in your pocket in terms of change. And change in your life. Like I used to have more hair, I do not despair. This is my real hair. Change in life. The other given, there is never, ever a dull moment in Africa. This is my 45th country. And take it from me, Daffy Duck. Welcome it up in all the wrong places, welcome it up, or buckwheat. This is my 45th African country, ain't never a dull moment, all 45 countries. And I got 9 left, ain't gonna be a dull moment. So I get off the plane, Jane, in here, Liberia. I made it to Liberia. Oh, you think I was stuck in Ivory Coast? Stay with me. I get off the plane, and for some reason, I'm trying to retrieve my glasses, my sunglasses, the ones I'm wearing, and in my pocket was my boarding pass. And it's flying willy-nilly like the feather did in the movie Forrest Gump. Remember Forrest Gump? And a little feather floating in the air. That was like my boarding pass, except it's floating back to Nigeria. And I'm running on the tarmac trying to stamp it. Because I'm the greatest, I cut up with that boarding pass that was flying. I float like a butterfly, or sting like a bee. So after all these 3 stresses, I'm like, all right, I'm just ready for some football. And I did, I saw 3 football matches. Oh, technically I only saw 1 full match. Because the airport in Liberia, it's in Hooterville. It's a nice airport, but it's in the middle of nowhere. It took me an hour to get to that. And the flight was late. And Air Corps de Ivory, did they apologize? No, they didn't. But did they give me an extra sandwich when I asked for? Yeah, they did, because they don't want to mess with me. So, silly, like willy-nilly. So that was my story on Sunday. I almost didn't make the country. I almost lost the camera that I'm using right now. And I almost lost my boarding pass. But Mrs. Morrison, what's with the boarding pass? It's history, brother, to prove I came here. I paid for the ticket. I want my boarding pass. I ain't gonna let no wind take my boarding pass. You follow? Boys and girls, I got to run down this here beach and check out more of this here pretty city. Hope you enjoyed the show and the story, Kokomo. Bye.